What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Splatcast. My name is Splattercat, and this is a podcast that I've started doing every single month by nature of the Patreon backers who enabled this series and allowed it to be a thing. Last month, we were hanging out with Avic. This month, we're hanging out with MsCarsonelle.
Hi. I'm happy to be here. Totally not that this is our second time doing it.
No, this is our second run through. This is
completely natural.
It's all off the cuff. Every single part of this was unrehearsed. There's nothing to critique here. I think you're going to be really, really happy with this podcast. MsCarsonelle and I have had several conversations on Skype, and every single time it ends up turning into like a 30-minute just like ramble, and every single time it's hilarious. So I really do feel like this is awesome. Where can people find you though, just in case they can't read the thing that's underneath your name right now?
They can find me mostly on YouTube, Twitch, and likely Twitter, just because that's the one I update the most compared to the two main sites, as MsCarsonelle on all of them.
Okay. All right, well, we got to start with the important questions, the really, really good stuff. Like, I don't know, what's your favorite color? That's usually where I start with everybody.
It's either red or blue.
Okay. You've got like the two titans of colors. Yeah. Everybody picks red or blue. That's what I've learned along this process, is that a lot of people align themselves with either red or blue. How do you feel about purple? Because that's just...
I'm not a huge fan of purple. It just feels kind of like blah and not as stand out as red or blue. Although I am curious, like, why do so many people pick red or blue? Because I always think, is it some sort of like patriotism thing?
I don't know. Lots of flags have red or blue.
Nobody really says white, so...
That true. Would be nobody really does say white. I don't think I've ever heard some, and honestly, nobody picks just like outright like black either. Nobody goes white, nobody goes black. I kind of feel like brown gets a bad rap. Nobody picks that one, but red and blue, everybody picks red. I kind of feel left out though, because I pick green, and nobody ever picks green either. Like green, yellow, orange. Very, very low voter turnout for all three of those colors. For me, it's just Ninja Turtles. That's why I picked green, is because Ninja Turtles are bae, and I've been down with the Ninja Turtles since like 1991. And so, gotta go with green. So with purple, though, would you say that you changed your opinion on purple? Let's take it. So I don't like purple either. Like, if it's like a washed out pastel, like Easter purple or whatever, not feeling that. I like purple with dedication, like purple that is in it to win it, like a very, very deep, regal purple. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, that I can get behind. Like, I've been playing the new Final Fantasy, and you can customize your car and stuff in it, which is really cool, but all of the colours tend to look really bad in that game, but the purple one just looks so nice and so royal and just seems to fit the character, so I'm like, yeah, you know what? It's going to be purple. And I quite like that one.
You know, I feel like the group in Final Fantasy 15 would definitely choose black as their favorite color. Like, they're all rocking some varying degree. Like, I felt like the first time I played the game, I felt like we were on our way to like a Marilyn Manson concert or like a Lacuna Coil concert or something. And because the characters kind of stand out, like everybody in the background is wearing like floral prints and everything's all colorful, but your characters are just standing there just like in black all the time. But then I found the alternates.
Yeah, they're like the kind of crew, especially this one's for the Scottish people out there. You would expect these people to be standing around Central Station. Like, it's that kind of dress style. At least years ago, you used to see people standing around Glasgow Central Station just wearing that kind of outfits, and they would just stand there kind of looking moody and kind of fits the characters as well, other than Prompto. Prompto's just really cheery. Prompto best boy.
That is true. I think my vote is squarely in the corner of Prompto. Like, I started after I had like 10 hours into the game. I was like, who would it really upset me if they died in this game? And like, really, Gladio and what's his name? The other guy that cooks everything.
Ignis? Yeah.
Yeah, Iggy. Like, they don't have enough of a personality for me to care. Like, Prompto really, really shone through, and I was like, yeah, he's kind of like your little brother who's, like, always upbeat or whatever. Like, if something bad happened to Prompto, I'd just be like, all right, well, that disc comes out of the PS4. We are not playing this anymore. They killed my favorite character. I'm out. I don't want to play anymore.
Yeah, like, I won't lie, Prompto is best boy, but there's something about Gladio. Like, I'm not really into that sort of massively muscular look he's got going on, but it works for Gladio. It does work for him. So.
I feel like he's the sort of guy that stops, though, when he walks past a mirror. Like, Gladio really strikes me as that his hair is just too nice, like, all the time. It's just, when he goes past a mirror, he has just a subconscious tick to just be like, and just run his hair backwards real fast, and just stop and look and be like, yep, still here. And then he keeps walking. He's that guy. I feel like he probably spends a lot of time at home shirtless, just admiring himself. Although if I had that physique, I would be half nude all the time too. I think that's what it comes down to.
Like, I would be perfectly okay if he did that.
Yeah. It's if you've got the body for it. That's the big hanging thing. Like, if you've got the body for it, might as well be naked half the time. I think I was talking about that with somebody the other day, where they were like, so how come everybody's always shirtless, like in this movie? Like, so far, nobody has worn a shirt. And I was like, well, it's like Top Gun, you know? If you're like ripped and shredded and you put like all that effort in, you might as well capitalize on the real estate.
Weirdly, I read something similar to that about how in sort of action movies, women are always wearing tank tops. But I thought to myself, like, yeah, okay, there's a lot of them wearing tank tops, but in a survival situation, I would prefer a tank top. I wouldn't want something with long sleeves that feels like it would restrict my movement. So it kind of makes sense to me to have a tank top. So
yeah, the clothing that gets caught on brambles and stuff, you'd be like, oh, caught on a bramble again. I guess I can't survive. I'm dead.
Yeah.
And that's how it always ends. Your sleeve gets caught on a bush that's pointy, and then you don't survive. I've seen enough Survivor Man to know where this is going. And frankly, like, tank tops are just comfortable. They really sincerely are. I have a wide collection of them, and once summertime gets here, I don't even care that I've got a beer gut or whatever. I'm just like, I don't care. This is a very, very comfortable shirt, and it breathes. And I'm going to walk around the neighborhood in it, and people could just deal. They could deal.
Yeah. Yeah, it became, like, I think the first year of my channel, anytime I was doing a vlog, that was, like, my go-to outfit. It was always a tank top, but always a beanie, because apparently, you know, too warm here, but apparently not warm enough up here, so that was my fashion style.
Obviously. You can't, it's fine. You can have cold arms. You can't have a cold head, though. That's where the important stuff is, like the brain. You got to keep it insulated properly. Can't have it freezing over.
You get it. So
I like beanies. I have several right here.
I need more. I lost most of mine when I moved here. I need to buy more hats.
I'm in the process of moving right now, so basically every head accessory I own is stacked on the desk over here. I'm moving to a new location, and it's just like, you know how you run into that point where you run out of boxes, but you still have a whole bunch of stuff to take to the new place? I'm like, well, I guess I'm just going to have to carry it one handful at a time, and you lose all motivation. That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, when I moved here, I essentially went, my problem is I always stuff things into drawers, and then I always go, oh yeah, I'll need this one day, I'll just put it in this drawer, and then soon I'll just have drawers filled with complete crap, but I'll need the actual, you know, drawer items. I just don't need the stuff in it. So when I moved over here, I was just like, you know what, I don't want to clear this out, just don't care, I haven't looked in this drawer in months, just throw it all away. I've had regrets because I've actually needed some of that stuff, so I've had to end up buying stuff to replace it, but drawers, they're my downfall. Just shove everything into them.
Yeah, every time. There's always just like a battery and like a screwdriver and like an old book full of phone numbers from like the 90s in there for some reason you just don't get rid of. You have no idea why you keep it because all the numbers are inside your phone now. But for some reason you look at it and you're like, I should keep that. It has nostalgic value.
I have checks from last year that I still need to pay in just because I went, I'll get around to dealing with this, and then I've sat it in the drawer.
Oh, God.
So at least when I'm like really financially struggling, I can be like, I have checks. Please still accept the checks.
Yeah. So we tackled the big color question. So where do you stand then on Pokemon? Because you said red or blue. So which Pokemon would you choose between red or blue? I mean, both have their options, you know.
That is a hard question. I feel like I would maybe go more blue, which is weird because I feel more like drawn to red. But I don't know. I feel like I just like the sort of connotations that come with blue anyway, like the sort of more water types, and I get more more healing than destructive. Yeah, that's the word.
Well, and that's the thing is like I think red has a lot of like clinger on Pokemon. Like I remember I got red and my best friend got blue. And I always felt like blue had the better options. I was like, oh man, you get like, you know, X Pokemon and I just get like Oddish or whatever. And I was like, this is a ripoff. Like nobody wants this little dumpy ass Pokemon when you got like a bad like lion Pokemon Ponyta thing on fire. Like, come on, man. You got the good stuff. And then you got to get the transfer cable because you can't just let him have all the good stuff. He's got to catch it for you and trade it on over.
Although, not going to lie, I did love Yellow just for the sole purpose of having Pikachu follow me around, so...
I felt like Yellow was just like fan service because I was introduced to Pokemon through the anime. Like it used to be on right when I got home from school at like 2:30 or whatever. I didn't even know what Pokemon was until I saw the show. And so when I got Red, I was like, wait, I can't start with Pikachu? Because in the show, he starts with Pikachu. Yep. And then they were like, hold on, I got you. This is called Yellow. And you can actually start off like the show. And I was like, yes!
Yeah. I actually wish I could remember what I sort of discovered first. Because I know I had the games. I know that I watched anime. And I know I would collect the cards. And I would do like Pokemon battles and stuff like that. But I actually can't remember like what came first. I think it must have been the anime. It must have been, because I couldn't see myself picking up the game. Yeah.
Yeah, because the anime, I mean, it was really, really popular when I think that was probably when I was like 7th grade, maybe. That seems about right. Like 13-ish seems about right. And I remember seeing the show, and I think it was the one, it's got to be the one where Brock and Ash, they go to like the lighthouse. And I don't remember specifically what happened in the episode, but I remember that being the first episode I ever saw and thinking, I like this concept of animals that fight for some reason. Everything in real life is telling me that this is wrong. Like, animals should not fight on my behest. But something about Pokemon makes it okay. They seem so happy to fight each other.
Yeah, they want to. It's fine.
Yeah, and every time they get hurt, they just have little dirt scuffs on them. They go inside the Pokeball, and they come back. And they're like, oh, look, he's happy again. He doesn't seem to have any long-term PTSD about this.
I won't lie. I've thought a lot about what Pokemon would be like in our actual world and thinking about even how the economy works in the Pokemon world. And I still can't work out what the leading theory is for when it comes to why are they so okay with Pokeballs, because I feel like I would be the kind of Pokemon that would be like, no, I'm not, you're not putting me in this tiny cramped space, fuck you. Like, I could not deal with that.
And why does Pikachu get to make that call? Because like Ash catches like Pidgeotto and he gets like all kinds of Pokemon, and every single one of them he's like straighten the ball. But for some reason when Pikachu's like, nah, I'm not feeling that, nope, not today, he just goes along with it. So why does Pikachu get mandate? Like, why is he the special one? You know what I mean?
And I genuinely wonder, like, what is it like inside the Pokeballs? Like, I think one theory I read was essentially it's almost just like data, as if they just save their progress in there. There's not really anything that happens within the ball, and they just, I don't know, it's just really weird. Like, I prefer the visual that they have like a nice sort of life in there. They have a nice house.
Absolutely, a studio. That. A little condo in there. He's got like his own little chairs. He's got like a little mini-sized PS4 or whatever that he can play on.
Although if that were the case, then I probably would not want to come out of the ball. I'd be like, I am not fighting for you today. I am staying here with, you know, my assuming I have a pool because I might be a water-type Pokemon, because I still think I would be Magikarp. So I would need a pool.
Magikarp fan. See, so my problem with Magikarp is that everybody only brings Magikarp along because they're waiting for him to change into something different. That always seems so sad to me. Like, nobody loves Magikarp for his ability to splash. They love Magikarp because someday he's going to fundamentally change and become Gyarados. They're just waiting it out. He's just that guy in the corner of the class that nobody really likes, but someday he'll be Gyarados, so I'm putting up with you for now. And that's sad to me. I feel bad for Magikarp.
It's just relatable to me. Fuck.
I also feel like... Yeah, like Magikarp, the other fundamental problem with Magikarp is that everybody shits all over him, but every time they summon Magikarp, they're on land. And I'm like, well, of course he can't fucking do anything. He's a fish and you just summoned him in a grass field. Maybe put him in the water and he'll do a little better. You guys are setting unrealistic expectations.
That was one of the funny things for Pokemon Go. Like, did you get into that whole fad for a while?
I did. It was a bit of a thing. I think it happened across the globe, but this was the first time you would go like downtown where I live, and there's a bunch of like landmarks there, and there was like hundreds of people. The police department had cops just standing around playing Pokemon Go just to keep an eye on the area because there was so many people there. It was a phenomenon. It was crazy. So yes,
even where I live, I was encountering other people that were playing it, and I was like, whoa, okay, I could actually make friends here. Or I could just like fuck off and keep catching Pokemon, which is what I did.
Yeah, or I could go back to my corner and be antisocial. I think I know which one I'm going to go with.
Yeah, oh god, I think I asked the guy out once by accident because I just wanted to go catch Pokemon, but I think he thought it was like, we'll go catch Pokemon together, but I meant, no, like, we'll go, yes, we will be together, but you be there and I be here. Not like, together kind of thing, so
you start walking,
ended up not doing it.
He sneaks his arm around you, but like, whoa, 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 whoa. I thought this was like a friend catching thing. Now you're like touching me.
Yeah, maybe not interested. No, thank you. I'm out to catch Pokemon, not anything else.
The only thing I love right now, is Snorlax. So you need to give me some space. I made the mistake. I caught a Snorlax in front of somebody. I was like at the park. And I was like, oh shit, it's a Snorlax. Like, I said it out loud because Snorlax is like one of my favorites. I really identify with Snorlax. Yeah. He's got all those qualities that really, I think, show me off. An enjoyment of cake, an enjoyment of sleeping most of the day away, the joy of being an obstructionist. I love everything that Snorlax is. However, he dislikes flutes. He'll leave if you play a flute, and I think that I would too. So I think that I really, on a fundamental level, am a Snorlax. But I said it when I caught one. I was like, oh shit, I got a Snorlax. And this other guy was like, where'd you catch him from? And I had this brief moment where I was like, I caught him around the block. I just did it as a reflex. Like, I felt kind of like an asshole because this kid took off running.
Yes.
He was like, I'm going to catch one. And I was like, I shouldn't have done that, but it was so satisfying. I shouldn't have, but I did.
Yeah, I don't think I ever really found anything interesting. Like, it was so funny, though. Like, where I live, there's no water near me, but I kept getting water-type Pokemon. It would just randomly be in, like, someone's garden. And I'm like, no wonder you're, like, splashing around like that. You're dying. So I will save you.
This is your final moments, and I will be your savior. There's only a creek where I live, and so the creek runs through on Google Maps, or whatever it is that they draw their map from.
Yeah.
And there was just probably about 100 people just standing along the side of the creek because it's the only body of water. And so they're like, well, I got to get my Goldeen, so I guess I'll stand here. All right, man, if that's what makes you happy, that's what makes you happy.
Oh god, I'm imagining them being like the fishing type that you'd meet in the actual Pokemon game. They'll be the ones that are standing around with their free rods to give you. Their free used rods.
It's used too. That's the worst part. Just a dude standing by a creek asking you if you want some free rod. And I'm like, this question seems really, really loaded to me right now. I'm feeling unsafe. I'm gonna head back up to the street. I'm not feeling good about this. I'm feeling like regardless of the answer, this is going to go in a way that I'm not gonna like.
Don't worry, it's used. It's fine.
It's used. That means that someone else enjoyed it first. Look, I've got Yelp reviews and everything. I'm like, no, absolutely not. That's just the sort of thing that an egotistical dude would try and pull to. Like, no, man, my rod's got Yelp ratings. I'm like, really? Do you hand like a card out after?
It's not used. It's pre-loved.
Yeah, it's pre-loved. It's pre-inspected, and they have found no fault. I'm like, man, you're being a salesman about this whole thing. But you can't trust his word for it. On like one level, like we as men are terrible judges of our own quality in regards to certain aspects of ourselves. It's like trusting, the guy that wants to sell you a Mazda, he's gonna embellish the Mazda a little bit because he wants to sell you one. And so you can never trust the guy that's trying to sell you something about the quality. You need like second and third party references, you know what I mean? You need like previous people to be like, hey, yeah, it checks out, it's legit. And you never have that. That's the terrifying part, is you never have that. You have to jump in blind.
Yeah. Basically what you're saying is there should be a Tinder, but there has to be a testimonial section. That might actually cut down on a lot of creeps on there.
I approve. A testimony. Although then you would just have people padding their stats, though. You'd have like some dude and he just has all of his friends like upvote his shit on Tinder real fast with fake accounts.
God, yeah.
We figured the system out.
It reminded me of the days of MySpace where, I don't know if it was just a thing that me and my friends did, but we would always have our friend like write a thing about ourselves on MySpace. I could just imagine that being it. And it's always like the most complimentary stuff, but in a way that makes you sound as if you're better than everyone else. Not even that you're equal to everyone else. No, you're better than everyone else.
I think it goes back to the AIM mentality. Like, I remember that being a thing back in the AOL Instant Messenger days, too. Is like in their little bio profile or whatever that all your friends had. Like, whenever you said something funny and your friends were like, oh my god, I'm dying right now, you would, like, copy and paste that real fast, and then you would put it inside your profile and be like, look, I'm capable of being funny 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. Yeah. I never really, I don't know if that was so much a thing in the UK. I mean, I never really used it. It was always MSN here. And the way to show that you were superior to everyone was to have song lyrics, but you couldn't go mainstream pop. You had to make sure that people knew that you had unique taste. So you would always, sometimes I would just use lyrics of songs that I never even listened to. Confession, I was a poser.
Every time, every 8th grader is a poser. That's the thing, is that I always hated that word when I was like in high school, because I was like, to be honest, we're all a bunch of like white bread middle class, kids from a working class area. Not a single one of us has ever done anything to identify with any of these lyrics. We haven't lived enough life to do that yet. Yep. And yet, for some reason, here we are posting these lyrics. It's okay. I would be kind of concerned if, like, an 8/9th grader was not a poser. Because it's like a phase of your life that you go through. You put your toe in the pond of a bunch of different, like, subcultures. And then eventually you grow up and you're like, all right, I'm going to be my own person now. I don't need like these genres to define me anymore.
Yeah. I cringe thinking about that stuff. I was tweeting the other day about things I remember doing when I was young. And I will always remember this one time where I must have been about 9 or 10, and I was to teach my class HTML because apparently I was a big fucking geek that knew this stuff, and it meant that people could customize their own pages. So I had to show the entire class. So the teacher went to show my page, but I didn't know she was going to do that, and I'd updated it the night before to have an auto-playing song of Eminem. I sat there as an Eminem song blasted out. I think people know Eminem's lyrics, and I sat there as it played and everyone was looking at me. It was
horrifying.
Yep.
It's horrifying. And I think that's happened. Like, that is one of the worst things that can happen in high school, is that like you do a project and you do it so well that the teacher's like, this is how everyone else should do. And you're just like, oh, you've killed me. You've killed me socially. It's totally not cool to care at this point in my life. And you have just murdered me because you've shown that I cared about something. This is a liability.
Yeah. And people end up paying you for it. Hell, even when I went to college, the lecturers there just loved me. I don't know why, because it's not like I really even tried hard, but I would show up and crack jokes, and apparently, like, I could tell, like, I could be really rude to people, usually if they were rude to me back, because it was a computing course and you typically had guys that were looking down on me for it, so I would just tell them to go fuck themselves.
Yeah.
And the lecturer would just be completely happy with it, so everyone's thought there was like some form of favoritism, because I could just be like a huge dickhead back to these people, and it was completely fine. So I always had that happen.
You really do. I remember that from university, and also I have a family friend who she has a master's degree in mathematics and all that sort of thing, and you just kind of hear these stories like in the STEM disciplines, like engineering and math and stuff like that, where she was talking about this one time. She went to I guess it was like I don't even know what to call it. It was kind of like a convention, I guess, for mathematicians or whatever. And she said that she was there. And, you know, she looks like an older, like, nerdy lady. You know, she's got, like, the wide-rimmed glasses. And she looks like you would expect, like, a math professor or somebody with, like, a doctorate or a master's degree to look. Whether or not that expectation is a good thing or a bad thing, she kind of fits the bill. But she was talking about how another person was there, and she gave a talk about women in STEM and math, engineering, and all that kind of stuff. And she was very well-dressed. She looked almost like a model, you know. She was very well-dressed, very well taken care of. And a lot of the male professors there at her table, when they were watching the talk, were saying things about like, oh, she doesn't look like, you know, one of us, you know, she can't be a mathematician, like, look at her, you know. It's like, it's weird how stuff like that comes out of people's mouths and they don't even think about it. I'm like, you should just encourage anybody to be in science and engineering and math. I don't think that any of these disciplines really have enough applicants to be choosy. You should encourage everyone to be into these things regardless.
A lot of people have bias when it comes towards it, and then that's the thing, like, they don't recognize it. They don't think that they're contributing to the problem, because I think a lot of people in my college course wouldn't consider themselves like to be anti-women or anti-women in these spaces, but they would still look at me and still not really kind of like welcome me, and felt like I was other, because I don't want to say because I'm a woman, because there was probably other things that were going on at the time, because I was part-time as well while these people were full-time, so they probably just saw me coming going from class and were thinking, oh, she's just doing whatever she wants, even though it wasn't. It was just how things worked out.
I think a lot of it might stem from just like, as a dude who is around other dudes, it seems to be a lot of projection, in all honesty. Like, I think that a lot of guys, they didn't get female attention or whatever when they were in junior high or when they were in high school, but they latched on to like nerdy stuff like, you know, Pokemon or video games, and that was like their coping mechanism or whatever for like attention that they were not getting back in the day. I could be way off base here. I don't know. I'm talking out of my ass. This is just an observation. But I think they lay claim to these things, and then when they see like women being into those things that they've kind of claimed as their coping mechanisms, it upsets the balance, you know what I mean? Like, this is supposed to be their thing, like their escape or whatever, and I'm just like, I can't handle the fact that, you know, a woman is into this thing that I like. I don't know. That's just me kind of spitballing. I don't know if I'm anywhere near basis, but that's kind of what I think I've seen with some of the people that like I went to college with, who are very, very protective over it. I don't know. You just got to nudge at them. You just got to be like, hey man, be chill.
I won't lie, like my favorite thing since then is I've had people that were in my college class since find out about my YouTube videos and then come to me and are like, hey, can you give me advice on my channel? And there's a part of me that's just like, you were a dick to me, okay? You made sure to not include me. Just because I have somewhat success on YouTube, you're now like, hey, can you give me tips? So
it happens. I find that YouTube as a community, it can be really warm, it can be really welcoming, but there's also like a dark side of it too, where like jealousy and stuff like that comes out. Honestly, that's one of the reasons why I just try to stay out of a lot of channels. They thrive on that social, like always having people over from YouTube and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm kind of isolationist on YouTube because I just don't want to invite the drama, like the drama and the jealousy and everything else. It's just something I don't want to deal with.
That's pretty much like me. Like for the longest time, I have went it alone. I haven't really done even much collaborations with other YouTubers, just because I don't know. I feel like if something happens with my channel, at least it's fully like my responsibility. So if there's negative comments, it's aimed at me and it's not like brought because I have another person that's on with me. I would rather have that sort of full control. I apparently have control issues. Yeah, like I never really even started doing it. Like I was on Roll For It when they were doing the D&D show originally. Because these are doing a new D&D show now as well, weren't you?
Yeah. I started one that goes on Wednesdays now. That's got me GMing instead of EE. I wanted to give him a chance to play. I feel bad for the guy. He always has to GM and he never gets to partake in the festivities. So I was like, all right, I'll GM, whatever.
Yeah.
So when you play D&D, what was your character? Like, what were you into?
I was a gnome ranger named Scarlet, who was very stabby, and I had a pet badger, and apparently people really liked me just because one time I stole a piggy bank from the father of dead children. Like, it belonged to the children, and I was just like, yeah, I'll take it. So,
no boundaries.
Yeah, well, to be fair, the kids weren't using it, so, like, it's only fair. I ended up going out and buying like an actual piggy bank just to have it in the background of the streams when we were doing them, just to be like, yeah, it's a piggy bank.
That happened.
Yeah.
You should remember. I did that I played a rogue a while back too, when I was it was right after I got out of high school. I think it was probably about 6 or 7 years ago now. And when you're a rogue, you have to pull stuff like that every now and again. Just to remind, because like, for example, I was breaking into a house to burgle it. And there was like a little kid over there with like a teddy bear, and I'm in the room like stealing stuff, upstairs, and there's people downstairs, and if this kid makes any noise, I'm gonna get caught, and I'm gonna go to jail, and I can't live that life. And so like I sapped him real fast, and my GM was just so upset about the fact that I sapped a little kid, and I was like, I am being a pragmatist right now. I'm doing the best that I can, and then I took his teddy bear, and then I wore it on a rope, like it was like a gangster chain for the rest of the campaign. I just had like a teddy bear around my neck by a rope. And sometimes you gotta teach the GM that you get to make the choices. They don't get to tell you what you can't do. So you gotta do something really evil and nasty every now and again just to drive home the point.
To be fair, I love that. Like, we're so used to the whole idea of GMs torturing us. Like, no, it's fucking more fun to torture the GM. Like, throw all of their plans out the window. Like, they've worked hard on this session. Let's ruin it.
That's the call of every good player, is to sit down and realize that the GM's probably spent a lot of time on this. And how can I just take this off the rails and just ruin all that work? I'm learning that now that I'm a GM. It happens every week. I make plans, and then they ruin it every time. And I'm just like, well, that's the way it goes. This is what that feels like.
Part of the fun. And especially when you're doing stuff like streaming it as well, for me, it feels like improv, like not to go all theatre and stuff like that, but that is essentially what it is. So it can be kind of fascinating to watch that and see people have to think on their feet and move along, and also keeping in mind that you want this to be entertaining for people to watch as well, which is why there's so many of these shows going on at the moment. I just love how it's kind of taken off. It's really cool to see.
It really is. I think people underestimate the amount of theater and sort of acting and things that go in. I mean, if nothing else, just the improv that goes in. Because you can really see with some people, they just freeze up when they get the spotlight. Like when they have to, and I've seen this at my private table. I've seen this online with shows. Like sometimes you've got people that are very, very passive and they like to kind of be the background players. And if you give them the limelight, they don't know what to do with it. They're not shot callers, basically. They don't like to make a plan and go through with it. They like somebody else to do it. And then they're like, yeah, that sounds good. And they'll vet the process. But there's a lot of improv that goes into just like being there and trying to come up with a solution to a set of problems that somebody's presented you with. There really is.
Yeah, especially that was like my experience when I was doing the Roll For It show, because I was more quiet, but mostly because like I'm perfectly fine streaming on my own, but then I felt like that sort of shared that if I'm not good enough for this show, like if I'm the one that's dragging the group down, I would feel responsible. So I would like try and keep in mind to, engage, but then I would make the mistake of looking at chat and everyone would be like, oh, MsCarsonelle is like very quiet. Why is she even in this group? So of course that would make me sort of self-conscious about that. Mm-hmm. And it sort of spiraled. So I felt really sad when because I had to eventually ended up dropping out because it was starting to really kind of get to me. But I really love doing it. So I love shows like that.
The comment section will do that. I've had to make a rule for myself when it comes to Roll For It that I just don't look at chat anymore, because sometimes you'll be trying to come up with a plan or whatever, and in chat as you're coming up with the plan, you'll have people be like, nah, that's fucking dumb, and it's just like everybody's like, yeah, I agree, that is fucking stupid, and you'll be like, oh, well, maybe I don't want to do that anymore, and then you're waiting to see what chat says about you backpedaling, like, oh, he has no dedication, he's backing off now. And I'm like, well, I don't know what you want. I just want to play the game. Leave me alone. And so now I just leave chat down and I just play the. It's so much more enjoyable too.
It really is. Yeah. Like I started to try to do that, but then also because I was a moderator, because it was happening on E's channel and I was like his head mod at the time. So I felt this responsibility, like, no, I have to see what's going on in chat. So the worst thing I would do is after the show, I would then go back, because I would keep chat logs of everything. I would go back and read every single comment that people were saying.
Don't do it. No.
Yeah, like E tried his best to dissuade me. We even did a show where I'd visited him once, and the way it's set up, and he had to like hide the chat from me because I was able to see the chat, so he had to like hide the chat so that I would actually participate. But the entire time I still felt like I was being really quiet because our setup, like, we just kind of winged it at the time. Like, we thought we had it all planned, but yeah, things get in the way.
I can't wait to go to E's house and just touch all his stuff. This is like a fantasy of mine, because like looking at the background of his house, everything seems very neat and like put in places. Like if I ever go to visit, I'm just gonna move shit. Like he'll be in his little recording room, and he'll be like, I don't remember that book being there. It'll just be like at a slight angle, moved to the side. I'm like, was that like that before? I don't know if that was like that before. And I'll just be in the background in the hallway, like.
Yeah. See, I would just hang out with his cat, so I had the best plan.
His cat's name is what? Socks? Socks is cool.
Yeah.
I mean, Socks is better than my cat. My cat's always breaking shit. Like, every single stream gets interrupted by he's being an asshole every time.
I'm really surprised because I have 2 cats and they're over here right now. And normally they would be all over me, but they're just sleepy and chill right now that I'm almost wondering, like, who are they and, like, what's happened? Are they waiting until later tonight when they're like, you talked the entire time we were sleeping, gonna, like, claw your eyes out or something? I'm like, no, do that to me.
They're going to find a bottle cap. That's what my cat does. He sleeps all day so that at night he has energy to find a bottle cap and play with it really, really loudly and keep me up till 4 and 5 in the morning when I've got a podcast to do. Every time. Every time. But honestly, this has been a ton of fun. Everybody, MsCarsonelle has joined us for Splatcast number 2. I assume that you're going to be streaming, so go ahead. Tell us where we can find you one more time.
You can find me mostly on YouTube, youtube.com/MsCarsonelle. I'm hoping to do some streams later this year. I'm waiting on the internet in my area being upgraded, which they got back to me today to say might actually be happening. So never let anyone tell you that complaining gets you nowhere, because hounding people, I advise not doing that, but hounding companies and saying, no, I need this area upgraded. Because my plan was, it's mostly elderly people in my village. I started to think, okay, so they think there's no demand here. Okay, what I should do is I should set up like an IT group for seniors and then convince the elderly pensioners here that they need internet. I was playing the long game for this, so thankfully I don't need to do that now.
Nobody complains like old people. Old people have like years and years of experience complaining about mundane shit. That's how they got it done back in the day when there was less resources.
Yep. So I channeled my inner old person with my 2 cats. And they got back to me, so I might be able to stream again. So twitch.tv/MsCarsonelle for that.
Very nice. Very, very nice. Thank you for joining me. I appreciate you stopping by. All of our conversations have been like really, really fun. Like seriously, I've been looking forward to this for a very long time. So thank you. I do appreciate it. We'll see you all a little bit later. All right. Bye, everybody.